Next up is the Enneagram Three. Now, again, each one of these numbers are quite different. The Enneagram Three, their core fears are being viewed as incompetent, inefficient, worthless. They care a lot about their perception, the way that other people perceive them, and their core desires are to have high status and respect and admiration. They want to realize, they want internally to realize, but they also want other people to realize the value that they have. Uh, these folks are natural leaders because of this. That they put them in they put themselves in positions to have that high status and to have the admiration, um, and the core longing that threes need to hear, that they need to be told, is that you are loved and valued simply for being you. Now, as I mentioned with twos, it's important for threes to also know this, but in a very different way, because for threes, their their ability to be loved, or the reason for being loved, can easily be connected to their malleability and their ability to kind of be a chameleon in different situations. Threes have this special ability that they can walk into different rooms and just know who they need to be in that room and adjust it. Other Enneagram numbers would be like, well, man, you're being fake if you're doing that. But for a three, they see it just as this chameleon approach, this malleability to just know what the room needs and to create that for that room. Um, and so it's important for threes to see that their love and their care exists beyond just those different roles and those hats that they are wearing. It's not determined by their efficiency. It's not determined by the way that they lead, but instead it is determined simply by being you. Now, for threes, in your relationship with others, here's a couple things to think about when it comes to reconciliation. First, I think it's important to recognize the different levels of drive that you have. Threes have uh, this extra gear that they can go to in terms of their efficiency, in terms of the uh, ability to get things done, in the hours that they can put into things. They have an energy level that is just honestly quite different than every other number. And for threes, if you hold everyone else to the standard, you're going to be massively disappointed. So it's important to recognize that your drives are different, because if not, you're going to be in conflict and you're going to have to reconcile with those who maybe part of the reason why you have to reconcile is because of the different levels of drive. So recognizing that, acknowledging that, and allowing for that to be different is very, very important for threes in relationships with others. The second thing, uh, in terms of relationship with others, is to create space and time for relationship. Now, where this is important is because, again, going back to threes being so efficient, they are masters of their time. So, a negative output of that is the relationships around them can then feel like they are on the clock, that they have an hour and no more than an hour to spend time with them. Uh, Other numbers don't work that way. Other numbers like the freedom, like the space, like more time. And so for threes, if your sole drive in relationship in moments of reconciliation is efficiency, as opposed to creating that space and time, you're going to be massively disappointed. If your intention or your outcome in those moments of reconciliation is to have it all answered by the time that you leave, you're going to be massively disappointed, because there's other Enneagram numbers that function different, and they need space and time to process beyond just the space and time to spend together. So allowing for inefficiency essentially is important, because there are those that need that relational aspects of inefficiency where you're just willing to sit in a room with them for an hour, and there are those who need the space and time after the fact to process what's going on. Now, if you're in a relationship with a three, here's a few different things to help you in terms of uh, reconciliation with them. First is to validate and affirm them. Um, Threes want so bad again to be affirmed. They want to be uh, seen as respectable. They want to be seen as an authority at times. Um, and there's a level of insecurity that can come from not being viewed in those ways because again, uh, they want so badly to not be seen as incompetent. They don't want to be seen as someone who's not able to be trusted or be able to be followed. And so to validate and to affirm what they're doing is important. So in response in a moment of reconciliation, it may be helpful to start off with the affirmation of like, hey, I know you did a great job on this thing. Um, let me tell you something I appreciated in this moment. That's probably really, really helpful in starting off in moments of reconciliation. The second thing is to help them succeed. Um, Threes again want to be successful, and so helping them succeed coming out of a moment of reconciliation is important because they see a path forward, they see the goal, they see the vision, and you can help them get there. The third thing is to value their malleability while also seeing their authentic self. As I mentioned, threes have this chameleon approach to life where they're able to just blend in and find what the room needs. They're just malleable to social settings, which is an incredible attribute. But they are more than that. There's this authentic self underneath all of the malleability, all of the hats that they put on in these different social spheres. So creating a little bit of space to see and to acknowledge both of these characteristics of them is very important. For threes who are listening, how do you reconcile with yourself? First, it's important for you to know your value and to acknowledge your value simply for being you. Your value is not determined by your ability to lead or your competence. Your value is determined simply for being you. In the same way that twos, their value is not determined by what they do. Threes, your value is also not determined by what you do or the relationship that you play in a social situation. The second thing is to find community and to be vulnerable. Like ones that struggle to find that critique, it's important probably for them to find some safe community to value this critique. Threes, it's important for you to find community where you can be vulnerable, where you can feel like you don't have to be malleable to the space, but instead you can be authentic. You can expose everything, and that you don't have to fear some of those fears that we talked about because that community, that safe community, won't see you as incompetent, but instead they'll just see you for who you are. So be vulnerable with them.